Welcome to our Devos. This week we are talking about the resurrection power. It's Easter week. We've passed Easter. Easter should not be experienced by a Christian once a year. That's erroneous. Easter should be experienced constantly because we are Easter people. We are resurrection people. We believe in the resurrection. We believe that the resurrection is the most important event that ever occurred in human history. One of the things that the resurrection does for us is the resurrection shows how God can use bad things to do the remarkable. God can use bad things to do the remarkable. God can take the evil that is meant to be done in this world, and he can use it as a tool to do something remarkable. This is evidenced by just Jesus' death itself. If you look at Jesus' death, for 3 days, the devil thought he had a W in the score column of eternity. I mean, he really did. Judas betrayed Jesus. I mean, imagine being betrayed by one of your closest friends, by one of the people that you've been around with. Okay, he betrays Jesus. He sells Jesus over for 30 pieces of silver. Jesus is arrested. He is tried. He is executed publicly. He dies before tons of people. It's all over that Jesus was crucified. His death, as I talked about in Easter, was such a fact that the Roman soldiers that would go around and break the legs of crucifixion victims to get them off of the cross, they didn't even have to break Jesus' legs because it was so evident that Jesus had died. This was the darkest moment in history. And Jesus is put in a tomb. Well, then we see 3 days later, Jesus comes from that tomb, and he does exactly what he planned on doing. He conquers sin, he conquers death, he fulfills the will of his Father, and he becomes the permanent propitiation for our sins, that we may turn to him for redemption from our sins. God can take even the darkest moment and use it for his glory to do the most remarkable things. It says in Luke chapter 24, verses 6 through 7, this is the perspective of the angel, and it's an accurate one. He says, when they're at the tomb wondering where Jesus is, he says, he is not here, but he has risen. Remember how he told you while he was still in Galilee that the Son of Man must be delivered into the hands of sinful men and be crucified, and on the third day rise. This was all a part of God's plan. Sinful men plus God's providence equal the power of God being able to reign and rule even over the darkness. I love it how it says, be crucified by sinful men. This is one of those things where you get that question of, okay, does God author evil? No, but what God can do is God can use the evil intentions of others to do something miraculous by taking that and using his providence, using his power, using his care, and doing something miraculous in the middle of that. That's how good he is. That's how far beyond us he is. That's how his ways are not our ways. And the resurrection reminds us of God's capacity to do just that. Some of you have come from a remarkably dysfunctional family. Your family has given you no leg to stand on. Like, you came from abuse, you came from trauma, you have things that have happened to you, and you could tell stories. But I want you to know that God is so good that he can use all that when you turn it over to him to do something miraculous. God can use your past addiction. God can use the infidelity that you experienced in your marriage. God can use all of those things that when you turn to him, he can take that and weave it into the tapestry of his greater story. But you have to turn to him. You have to be willing to believe that he can do it. And he will.